Welcome to the forecast for November 4th until November 10th. My name is Desiree Deslunay, your acupuncturist, herbalist, and astrologer, and we are going to talk about the changing tides that's coming this week. We're going to have a pretty big change starting Monday, starting today if you're listening on Monday. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen, and while I do so, please like, subscribe, hit that bell so that others may be notified when new videos are coming up. It really helps the algorithm. Okay, I'm going to make this big for you. Oh, that's interesting. I wonder why there's a big square there. Okay, present. And here we go. All right, so we are going to have a pretty big shift in our energies this week. There is so much fire, and that's why I talk about feeling quite fired up, especially with Mars moving out of the sign of Cancer, and now it's shifting, it's ingressing into Leo. And you'll see this right here, this Mars planet on the top right, and it is in the fire sign of Leo. So we have a fiery planet that is now transitioning into a fiery sign. And not only that, we do have our sun in Scorpio, which is ruled by Mars. Scorpio is ruled by Mars, so there is fire quality to this. We've got three planets, especially today on Monday, that are all in another fire sign, in the fire sign of Sagittarius. So things are heating up. You are getting a bit more excited, inspired, energetic, enthusiastic, passionate about a lot of things. So we're going to first just start with the sun, and then we'll go around to all of the planets, the more personal planets, which include the moon, Mercury, Venus, Mars. Those ones are the ones that are going to impact us personally, more so than some of the outer planets. The outer planets affect all of us, but they are way more slow moving, and the inner planets move a lot quicker, so they're going to have more immediate effects on our moods and our energetic shifts and changes. So let's go ahead and start off with the sun. I forgot to include the sun as part of the personal planets. But okay, we've got sun here in Scorpio. And just remember, Scorpio is a very intense, deep sign. It is introspective. It is very intelligent. It is very analytical and knows the depth and layers of things. It's the investigator. It's the detective, and super skeptical. So it is able to see what's really going on underneath. And one of its great powers, its superpowers, is that it reveals what's hidden. It brings what's hidden up to the surface, and it desires to find what's hidden every time. It is not okay with some like cursory glance or some superficial response to anything. It really needs to know why. It needs to know what is driving something, what is causing something. So there's a lot of intensity here with Sun in Scorpio. There is a tremendous amount of focus and even some stubbornness and fortitude, and it will find what it wants to find, what it needs to find. I mean, you can't stop that scorpionic energy from discovering what it wants. And another aspect about Scorpio is it's about transformation. So there is a lot of that in the air right now, and I've been talking about it quite a bit, but our like internal transformation that we're going through is very profound in this season, in this time of human history. And I'm going to say we're in quite a like historical time that we're living in. And I feel that that's going to really extend out into all of 2025. And then maybe around 2026, we're going to get our bearings. But we are shifting into seriously a whole new world, and we'll be talking more and more about that as the weeks pass on, because there are a lot of changes that are happening in 2025. Okay, so that is our sun in Scorpio. So we have that energy in the background. We're going to have that energy for the next couple of weeks, that investigative, that intense energy, and wanting to understand the hidden and wanting to bring that to the surface so that we can deal with it, that we could we could feel through it, that we are also embracing change. That is another very great superpower of Scorpio, is that it seeks transformation, it seeks change, it wants it, and it wants to move through that process, even if it's difficult, even if it's challenging, and even if it's messy. Okay, so there is definitely some messiness happening here. And then on top of that, we do have a lot of emotional strength and power that is available to us this week to help us get through that. We also have elections happening this week in the United States too. Okay, so let's talk about then some of the aspects to the sun. We have sun that is in a trine with Saturn, which that's pretty nice. That's a good like harmony between our identity and also our responsibilities, our structure. There's a lot of discipline that Saturn brings over to the sun here in Scorpio. So talk about structure and order and focus and hard work, and even having like realistic expectations. That's what I love about Saturn, is it's very realistic. It isn't completely like disconnected with reality. And this is good for long-term planning, future planning. So very good for sticking through and following through to your goals, your accomplishments, whatever your intentions are. You have the power, strength, and the staying power to continue and move through to completion. So very nice to have that around. And then we have the moon. Let's talk about our moon. Our moon is in Sagittarius today, and that's in a fire sign. So moon is our mood. It's our feelings, our emotions, our internal world. And here's a little thing I want to teach you about the moon. Look, you have a moon that is in your natal chart within a particular sign, right? And actually, if you know what your moon sign is, comment below. Let us know like what your moon sign is. Is it in Cancer? Is it in Leo? Is it in Virgo? Where is your moon at? And so the way that I like to work with the moon is, one, you have to always honor your personal moon sign. It's very important for your own like emotional regulation and also physical health. So you cannot ignore your moon sign. So what I do is I take the moon sign that is in the natal chart, and then you take the moon sign where it is right now out in the sky. And then you want to blend those two, honoring those two sides. You know, I think of it like this. If let's say your moon is red and then the moon in the sky right now is blue, you mix that together. What does that make? A purple moon. Okay, so kind of like that. You want to incorporate both the energies of your natal moon as well as the moon that currently exists out in the sky. So on this day, on Monday, if you're listening to this on Monday right now, the moon is in Sagittarius. And what is the nature of Sagittarius? Well, it's a fire sign. It loves to be inspired. It is very optimistic. It is a curious learner. It needs to learn. It craves learning new things. You know why? Because it craves searching truth. It craves opening their mind and expanding their horizons and seeing above and beyond and seeing more than what they currently have been seeing. So here we have the free spirit, we have the adventurer, we have the wanderer, we have the one that has to experience all kinds of new places, spaces, new foods, just everything new. Novelty is like quintessential Sagittarius energy. So it needs to explore, expand, and taste, try everything different, everything new. So that's the spirit of the moon. Your moon's gonna crave that. In addition to whatever your natal moon craves, you're gonna also find yourself, you know, having these kinds of desires as well on this day. So it doesn't like to be bored. I will tell you that. Nope. Nope, it needs excitement and adventure, period. And it wants to be inspired and wowed. So that's our moon. And then it's also right next to Venus represents our pleasure. It also represents relationships. So I can see this, playing out as like going on an adventure with your partner or going on an adventure with some girlfriends and doing something really exciting and fun and different. I don't know, go to like a candle making class if you've never made a candle before with some of your friends or your partner. That's just a random idea that came to my head. And then we also have Moon in opposition to Jupiter over here, and this will bring this can bring some indulgence, especially actually it's also in opposition with Venus. So be careful here. It may bring a little bit of excess in play and pleasure, kind of playing too hard to the point where now you're creating imbalance. So be cautious of that. But it will bring some good feelings too, just feeling really happy and generous and optimistic. And by the way, Jupiter rules Sagittarius. So at least we have that connection with the ruler of this sign that is communicating with two planets within this sign, which is nice and helpful too. We also have Moon that is in square with Saturn. I think that usually that can bring a sense of loneliness and sadness and melancholy, but the fact that the moon's in Sagittarius and communicating with Jupiter, I'm not too concerned about these restricted feelings, these more dense feelings. It can also bring a little bit more critical voice, just being really harsh on ourselves too. Again, in context, the fact that we have these placements and this aspect, I think it's going to mitigate the situation we got here with Saturn. So it will create some desire for some stability too, some emotional stability. Okay, so that's our moon. We talked about Venus and Sagittarius. This Venus, our beauty and aesthetics, like that's what Venus is about too. It may be a little bit more like eccentric, a bit different, maybe more exotic in nature. So maybe like even the stuff that you're drawn to, the fun things that you're drawn to, they're going to be different than your usual. And we're going to see that play out multiple times throughout this week. Look, by the way, Monday, like a lot of what we're talking about on Monday, besides the moon, it's going to carry out throughout the whole week. So I definitely recommend listening to all of Monday because I'm really speaking on the energies of the entire week. And the moon is the one that shifts around the most. So that's what I'll be, speaking on as we move through the other days. But we have our Mars here, okay? This Mars has shifted. We've been in Cancer for a while. Now, Mars shifting in Leo, let me tell you, it's going to be here for a while. Now, Mars has a period where it goes into retrograde, and it will be going into retrograde later on, not this week, but just so you know, it's going to go into Mars a little bit, and then it's going to look like it's going backward. It's not actually going backwards, but it's going to look like it's going backwards, and then it's going to end up back into Cancer. Okay. And then after that, it's going to come forward again and then back into Leo. So we're going to have this Mars in Leo. It's going to fully leave Leo sometime in April of 2025. So just so you know, this whole Mars in Leo transition, this influence is going to be here for a while. And look, Mars was in its fall position in Cancer. Think about it. We have a fiery planet of Mars in a water sign of Cancer, where the vitality and the energy of Mars is being watered down. Okay, it's down lanes of Mars. And so energy was a little bit more restricted here in Cancer of Mars. And Mars represents our vitality, our energy, our passion, our initiative power, our like just go for it and taking action. And so when it was in Cancer, it was a little bit moody. There were times we were feeling it and times we were not feeling it. And so we had to kind of ride those waves where we were feeling emotionally connected to a goal or something like that. Whereas Mars in Leo is a fire sign, okay? And it is excited, it is passionate, it is creative, it is very leadership oriented. If you think about it, the lion, it's the king of the kingdom. Okay, so it likes to rule over, and it likes to direct, it likes to command. It commands a lot of attention. The sun rules Leo. And look at that. We have this beautiful mutual reception. We're going to have this mutual reception for a while because Mars rules Scorpio, Sun rules Leo. So look at that beautiful like connection between Mars and Sun right now, or Leo and Scorpio. And you should see where it is in your chart, because you're having a mutual reception right now. Like where is Scorpio in your chart and where is Leo in your chart? And those areas, those houses, they are supporting one another. Now, here we're going to have tremendous amount of dynamic energy. Leo is very expressive. I mean, it's our thespian. Okay, it's very theatrical. It has a dramatic flair. It does not contain itself. So our energies are going to be a bit more vibrant and more out in the open with this transition. So if you've been feeling personally a little bit like bogged down, and it could be because of the Cancer, with the Mars and Cancer, this is really going to brighten you up and open you up. It's going to really increase your motivation, your ambition, your creativity. It likes to be seen, okay? The Mars and Leo likes to be seen. It likes to be noticed. It likes to be recognized. It needs to be appreciated, okay? It needs affirmation. So it is not a quiet placement for Mars. I mean, if you think about it, like you've got all this creative energy from Leo, and then you have all this initiatory energy from Mars. I mean, it is just taking action, taking very creative action. It's not holding back. It can be very confrontational too. I mean, it's confrontational, it's assertive. It's not holding itself back. How about that? Okay, so we are not holding ourselves back. And then you have Sun and Scorpio, which is very obsessive in nature and very stubborn too, and very focused. So we have a lot of fire energy that is carrying us forward and moving us forward. So let me know if you feel a qualitative change on this day, and it's going to be here for a while. So enjoy that. Okay, so let's take a look at some aspects to Mars. We've got Mercury that is in trine with Mars, which is very nice. Look, Mercury is also in Sagittarius. Mercury is the planet of communication, and it is already thinking like eagle eye view, right? It is already big picture thinking. It's already expanding its mind. It's already connecting multiple dots. And then we have Mars communicating really well with Mercury. So to me, this is like very creative problem solving. I mean, it is able to express itself very clearly with inspiration, okay, with enthusiasm. I mean, to me, like Mars is also very direct and cuts through things. So it's going to be able to see the fine things as well as the big picture things. And so I love the passion and confidence and power in which we are communicating our ideas, our feelings, our thoughts. They're going to be direct because Sagittarius is blunt and a truth teller, and Mars and Leo also direct. Okay. So there's no like, dancing around a subject matter. We are just going right there. We're going in. So I love that. It's also very like quick thinking, very fast thinking, very sharp, very clever. So like I said, when it comes to decision making and problem solving, we've got it down here between this Mars and Mercury aspect, it being in trine. Okay, so other things we've got, since we were talking about Mercury, we do have a trine over here with Neptune. And I like this one because this is also, Neptune represents our intuition and our imagination. And with this conversation happening, what we intuit, we're able to express and articulate clearly. So we'll have the words for it. It's not just going to be some nebulous feeling on this day. And then you have that Mars and Neptune also in trine. So hence we have a grand trine here. And Mars is able to be also very direct about what it's intuiting, what it's picking up on. You're going to be emotionally sensitive. There's going to be a lot of sensitivity and energetic sensitivity. However, you're going to be able to navigate and sift through it and be able to identify like what it is. Sometimes, like, do you ever get a bunch of feelings and energies and it's so much that it's kind of jumbled up and you don't really know how to categorize it or describe it, but you feel all of it. And so that's what I like about this day is if you do feel all of it, okay, and Neptune is in Pisces, if you do feel all of it, but you're going to be able to explain it. You're going to understand it, explain it in a very clear, intelligent, concise way, and even be very moving. Because that's with all this fire energy, like with Sagittarius and Leo, the way that we speak, it's going to move people. It's going to rise something up inside of them. Like it's not just going to be some boring monotone type of conversation. You're going to feel a lot of uplifting and hopefulness and just positivity and optimism in the air. There's so much positivity that's going on here with all of this Sagittarius and Leo situation that we're dealing with. Okay. So those are our aspects for Monday. And remember, this carries out to the rest of the week. A lot of these, especially like the Mars and Leo, that's going to be until January 7th. I'm sorry. There's one more. Mars, Pluto, we need to talk about. That's till January 17th. I got the date wrong on the previous one. But yeah, just know that Mars, Leo, it's going to go to Cancer later on and it's going to come back and it fully leaves Leo in April of 2025. But this Mars-Pluto opposition is the last thing we need to talk about because it is an important aspect, and that's going to be around until January 17th. And this is a we're talking about Mars as a fiery, aggressive, passionate, possibly aggressive and violent planet. And then we also have the planet of Pluto that represents annihilation, death and destruction, but also rebirth. Okay. So here's the thing. In this whole like evolution we're going through, these transformations we're going through internally and externally, Mars Pluto opposition is telling us that it's possibly riddled with conflict, with challenges, obstacles, struggles, that it may be a messy process. And so I want to be honest with you that it's, just guts are spilling out everywhere. It's not necessarily going to be neat and tidy and, all of that. It can be very gruesome, energetically grueling. I mean, it's painful, just like childbirth, labor and delivery. Thank goodness it's not forever, right? It's for a period of time. And that's what I'm saying is it's for a period of time because in the end, you get the beautiful baby. That is the great miracle and gift that we get. So it's not for nothing. So if you personally are going through some gut-wrenching, emotionally turbulent times, and there is a lot of anger and there's a lot of sadness and a lot of grief and just so many things, understand that it isn't just to suffer. No, there is a miracle at the end. There is a gift at the end. There is new life at the end of that. So if you can just hang in there, and thankfully, there are other things happening, other planets that are adding to the different energy signatures here that give us the strength and the power and the optimism, like I talked about with Sagittarius, that hopefulness and seeing the silver lining that we get amidst, some of the difficult transformation and energies we're moving through at the same time. So you're not completely left without anybody. It's like you have your doula, you have your partner, you have a team, you have nurses, right? You have a team of people that are there to guide you through and hold your hand or give you a wet towel, like just to support you through this time. So you're not completely, only in the suffering. So hopefully that gives you some encouragement if you are really feeling the Mars Pluto opposition intensely. Okay. And of course, it has to be during election time that we're we're having this. Let's continue on to Tuesday. So Tuesday the 5th, we have I just have one thing to touch on. It's really not much because look, our moon is still in Sagittarius. Everything is pretty much in the same sign. The only thing is our aspects to the moon has changed, and I'm just going to point out the moon that is in square with Neptune. And this one, moon square Neptune, can bring some cloudiness and some confusion around our emotions on something. So this is kind of the idealism versus reality. And we may not be really grounded in our reality. There may be a need for escapism here. So like watching too much Netflix, for example, might happen with this moon square Neptune. But just it can stimulate some creativity and imagination. But if you're just kind of like, I don't understand what I'm feeling and I don't know what it is that's happening inside of me, that would be indicative of moon squaring Neptune. So that could be expected on Tuesday, and that's the only major thing I want to note. Now let's go into Wednesday. I like Wednesday. I call this like a stable moon day. Moon does not have any difficult aspects. Do you see there's no red lines to the moon? Zero red lines to the moon. And then moon has now traveled into an earth sign. It's in the sign of Capricorn. And with Capricorn here, our emotions are a bit more stable. They're a bit more calm. They're a bit more reserved as well. And it's going to have an interest in things that are responsible, that are more structured, more orderly. So your moon might crave like just doing some practical things. Like, let me just take care of the practical. Maybe I need to do some laundry, for example. So things that are of a practical nature, maybe like meal prep, and it's in an earth sign, right? So dealing with earthy elements. That's what I love about earth signs. I'd like to deal with food or gardening, or hiking, or just going out for a walk in nature. Usually when moon is in the earth sign, those are the greatest like activities that you can do. And so food prepping for the rest of the week, for example, that's a very practical thing, very responsible thing. So your moon's going to crave things of that nature. We have moon that is in sextile to the sun, and this brings a lot of just harmony between your thoughts and feelings. You're going to have some increased confidence, very nurturing within your relationships. So very nice aspect there. And then, we have also the moon aspecting a sextile to Saturn. Saturn rules Capricorn, which even helps this whole like emotional groundedness and emotional stability and desiring to do things that are, like your routines and your habits. You're going to be really disciplined with routines and habits on this day, because it's not only in Capricorn, it's also communicating with Saturn that rules Capricorn. So that whole discipline, routine, structure, energy is very prominent on this Wednesday. And that's why I call it a stable moon day. It's a very nice day. We're not dealing with a bunch of like rockiness as we were before. Now, on Thursday, we have moon that is still in Capricorn, but it has a lot of aspects. Okay. So like, look, on Wednesday, we only had 2 blue lines to the moon. Nice and chill, right? Thursday, look at all this activity to the moon. So much. So you're going to feel all over the place in some ways. It's a mixture. We've got blue lines and we have red lines. It's a combination. It's a mixed bag here. So let's first talk about Mars in opposition. So remember we talked about this Pluto-Mars opposition. Now we have moon next to Pluto. It's conjunct Pluto. It's only like 4 degrees away here at this time, but it's next to Pluto and it's opposite Mars. So everything I talked about, the Plutos and Mars, you're really feeling it. Now with moon there, that is all amplified. All those sensations of like tension, turmoil, conflict, destruction, inner destruction, things falling apart, and just they're going to be more tense. Everything's going to be on edge, like raw on the surface. So expect Thursday that your feelings and your reactions and your responses may be explosive this day. So please prepare and plan in a way where you can not put yourself in aggravating situations. Don't go to the DMV on Thursday, okay? Don't do things that are already annoying, that are already irritating, because for sure you're going to, at least internally, you're going to have an explosion. You might have some more disagreements this day, might have, just arguments and just problems in relationships, personally, like with your partner and or with friends, family. So just know that this is a very touchy day, super, super touchy. On top of that, we have moon. I mean, yeah, I like the trine. Trines are, the blue lines are really nice, but it's to Uranus, and Uranus is things that are sudden and unexpected, surprises. I'm afraid this could be, not so good, happy surprises because it is connected to the Mars and Pluto. But this could bring strong intuition too. Absolutely. With Moon being next to Pluto and also in trine to Uranus. Oh, sorry. I didn't mean to do that. It can bring a lot of like sudden lightning strike type of intuitive hits that come to you that just like, wow, super powerful and very revealing. Remember, Pluto uncovers the hidden. So maybe something that you didn't see before might just kind of like smack you upside the head. So this is why I say it's a mixed bag. I mean, I like that aspect. That's just me personally, because I always love to be more in truth rather than in delusion. So you may have just a very powerful intuitive day, but I mean, I'm just gonna say this is not a walk in the park with beautiful flowers around you. This is a lot. Today is a lot. Okay, and not only that, because this is a very strong intuitive day. Moon is also sextile with Neptune, which represents our intuition, our creativity, our imagination, our spirituality. I mean, you may have some kind of profound spiritual experience this day. I mean, if you think about Pluto and Mars, it's like breaking through, cracking through as well. So you may have like kind of like a big powerful jolt of an awakening or revelation of some kind on Thursday. So just, open your mind to that. And if things go a little aggro, then you'll understand why. You'll understand why there's nothing wrong with you. That's what I love about, understanding the cosmic energies too, because it helps me to feel like, there's a reason for this. It isn't random. And I'm also not losing my mind. Like there's a reason for this. And it's, temporary. A lot of these things, especially with moon, right? It's just for the day. It's not something that's going to stay around forever. I just remember like when I was in labor with my first child, it was 24 hours. I just felt like it was never going to end. Like I was going to be in this suffering forever and ever. Like I couldn't even imagine, being out of that state and condition, especially when you're in it for hours and every second feels like death to you. It just feels like it never ever ends. so yeah, and that's why like I like having this because okay, it's just today, it's just temporary and it should pass by tomorrow. Okay, very good. So that is Thursday. Friday, the 8th, we have Moon that has transitioned now. Moon has moved over into Aquarius right here. And Aquarius is an air sign and it's a bit more intellectual in nature. And so there's going to be a desire for independence. It's a very independent sign, actually. It needs some intellectual stimulation as well. Like when moon's in Sagittarius and when moon's in Aquarius, there needs to be learning of new things. And so maybe you're going to want to be listening to some podcasts on a topic or theme that has been interesting you lately. But it's going to want to break out of normal routine too. It likes to go into the unconventional. It likes to try different things, just like the moon in Sagittarius does. But I will say that, fire sign, Sagittarius fire, is a bit more like excitatory in a way, whereas moon in Aquarius is a bit more logical and analytical and emotionally more just calm. It's more reserved. It's not like super expressive, like the moon in Sagittarius would be. So it's a little bit more calm, okay? A bit more progressive in its thinking too. We do have moon that is in sextile to Mercury, which is very good. You're going to be able to articulate those thoughts that you're having on this day, and even your feelings, if you need to express, you'll be able to articulate them in a very profound way. I mean, just because Mars in Aquarius, Aquarius energy is very intelligent. It has a great vocabulary. Okay, so there's that. It's also good for socializing. Even though it's independent, it does like to socialize. It likes to be around groups. It likes humanitarian efforts as well. So there's a lot of compassion that comes out of Aquarius. I don't know if it's said enough, but it's very humanitarian in nature. It's independent and it cares about the good of the whole. Yes, it cares about the good of the whole. Okay, we also have Sun in opposition to Uranus, which this can bring some unexpected disruptions. That's the thing with Aquarius, unexpected surprises. But it can also bring some breakthroughs for you personally as well. One other last one I'm going to point out is Mercury, that is square with Saturn. And this is around until November 16th. And this can make communication a bit more restricted too and challenging. Thankfully, we have this Mercury and Moon. There's too many M's. The Mercury and Moon right here that does help with the expression, but that's only for today because look, on Saturday, the Moon is in a different location and it's not communicating with Mercury. So this aspect, this Mercury and Saturn in a square, this I said is going to be around till November 16th. So maybe Friday we're not going to feel it as much because we have that other, Mercury Moon thing going on. But here we want to just be a bit more careful in our thinking. Okay, Saturn is very good at details and making sure everything is precise and in order, in the right order. And we just, with this like the square, we want to make sure that we are evaluating what we're thinking and how we're expressing ourselves, and just to be mindful. And this can lean towards pessimism, but thankfully we do have Mercury in Sagittarius, which is very optimistic, and it's still communicating with Jupiter. So I would say thankfully we have Mercury in Sagittarius. If Mercury was in a different sign, I would be a bit more worried, but still, just be a little bit cautious in how you say things. And since we have, Mars and Pluto in the background with this explosive, intense energy, it wouldn't hurt to just kind of run through things in your head before you have, let's say, a very crucial conversation, and take your time. Take your time, okay? Especially if you're having difficult conversations. All right, now, Saturday the 9th, this feels like being pulled around in some different directions here. So let's first talk about the moon. The moon is still in Aquarius, which I do like the logical, analytical, calm, collected nature of Aquarius with our moon there. And considering we have plenty of excitement and all these fire signs going on, but we do have a square on this day. between the sun and the moon, and this can bring internal tension. It can feel like you are being pulled in different directions, like you're trying to satisfy everybody else's needs and your needs at the same time. So it's just like, oh, I want to do this but they need that, or they want that but I need that, I need something different. And so it's just trying to like find a way to organize that all out internally. So yeah, there's going to be a bit of clash of like your needs and other people's needs is what happens when we have this kind of square between the sun and the moon. We do have moon thankfully in a trine with Jupiter, so that does give us some surge of like optimism. And so even though we're being pulled, we're like, okay, we're going to figure this out. We're going to find a way to make everybody happy. And we're going to enjoy this along the way too. So at least we have that. We do have moon square Uranus though, and that can bring some more emotional tension and unpredictability. So sudden mood swings. So can you see it's like it's a mixed bag on this day. So you're probably going to feel this pulling sensation. That's probably my best. And then some kind of unexpected sudden event that takes you here, and then this person needs you there, and then you're like, I want to be over here. And then hopefully Jupiter and all of this is like, hey, it's all gonna work out. It's all gonna be fine in the end. Everybody and everything is going to get taken care of. So my hope is that that Jupiter gives you some positivity in all of that. All right, and our last day is Sunday, the 10th. This is a very introspective day. Our moon has now changed. It has gone into Pisces, and Pisces is a very introspective sign. It's very emotionally deep. It's reflective. It's very sensitive. It's compassionate. It's empathetic. It's also very creative as well. A lot of water signs tend to have very strong intuition and incredible like creative energies available to them. So it's Moon is also more like watery. It's more along the watery sign. So it does well here. It's good. This is a good time for artistic pursuits as well as spirituality. Pisces is very, very spiritual. So if you wanted to dive into some kind of spiritual practice on Sunday, that would be a really great way to use that energy in this time. And Moon here though, it is next to Saturn. So the Saturn can it's also, in retrograde, it can feel heavy. It can feel a little bit restrained. This can make you a bit more introspective as well and more reflective in nature, but can bring some loneliness and sadness too. But it can also be a great opportunity for growth as well. Because that's the thing with Saturn is that it may not be fun. It may not be, the unicorns and rainbows that Neptune sometimes is, or Jupiter sometimes is, but it does stimulate growth and maturity and development. So, when we're disciplined in working on ourselves, like that's where we're going to experience this emotional healing. So there is a huge potential here for emotional growth while they're together. We also have Moon that is in square with Mercury, so this can bring some misunderstandings, miscommunication, tension in conversation, but also maybe be a bit challenging in helping us navigate, what we're going through internally. Like it's harder to articulate when we have a square between Mercury and Moon here. So this is going to be a calmer day in a sense that there's not as much activity externally in the world and externally in your life, but this is going to be definitely a time to go inwards, to really like explore your spiritual life, your emotional life, your creative life. So your internal world. Just think going real internal on Sunday. Okay, all right. So that is our forecast for this week. Please let us know how this Mars feels as it has transitioned into Leo and out of Cancer. I'm actually really looking forward to this because I am looking forward to doubling up on my production and creativity. That's what I want out of this. Let me know what you're wanting out of this Mars in Leo. And please make sure to like, subscribe, hit that bell so that you're notified every time a new video is up. And if you'd like to learn more about corrections, mitigations, and getting custom blends for these kinds of energy cycles that we're dealing with, please check out Rise and Thrive down below. Rise and Thrive is my membership group, and here I provide meditations, blends, both roller and diffuser. We have workshops really supporting you not only in what's happening right now energetically, how it can support you as an empath, as a hypersensitive, a healer, an artist, a creator, but also very other like practical life skills, especially through the lens of Chinese medicine. Chinese medicine is also elemental medicine. That's one of the terms that I have coined and created is elemental medicine. I love elemental medicine. We are made from elements of the earth. That's another reason why I love astrology, because we are dealing with the elements, and we are a microcosm of this macrocosm that is earth. And so we are a reflection of the earth. We are a reflection of the cosmos. And so knowing how to navigate these different qualities of energies and knowing how to move with them, right? And respecting the ones that are living inside of you, your configuration of these different elements. Everyone's got, different amounts of earth, fire, and so forth. We have them all. Everybody has them all, but they're going to have just slightly different colors. Like there's light pink and dark pink. So anyways, the goal of Rise and Thrive is to show you how to move with your energies properly so that you are finding harmony, that you are finding peace, and you aren't fighting yourself, that you are moving in your design. And by moving in your design, wow, things just come together so much more easily than if you were to fight against it. So thank you so much, and we will see you in the next forecast.